Jim.
Thank you, Kathy. Yay. Thank you.
So wonderful. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here and you made it. Do you feel powered up?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Wait until we're done. So for everyone here, thank you for making it here and being a part of Wednesday Night Power Up. If you're tuning in, we feel your consciousness. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Tonight we have a beautiful service lined up for you. We changed some things up. You might notice, but I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. So starting off, we're going to have Kinney Dye on stage, and she is just wonderful. She has fans all over the world that are probably watching right now. And I know that her voice and her energy is just going to lift you up and start this evening right. So help me welcome Miss Kinney Dye.
All right.
I wouldn't, and then I did. But it's on now. There was a time I almost lost my pretty mind because a boy, he wouldn't go with me. He said, hey, I think I'll stay, but you go on your way. Have fun being free. Now I'm going down the road with nobody's hand to hold. It's just me along the path. And as the winds of freedom fill my lungs, I know I ain't going back. There was a time I almost lost my pretty mind because a town got the best of me. Every day another perfect piece of paradise, but there was more I had to see. And now I'm going down the road with the whole world to call my home. I'm open and alive, and as the winds of freedom fill my lungs, I know I'll be just fine. Every mountain has a peak, and every cloud a sky. Every tree is rooted in the earth, and all I wanna do is climb. There was a time I almost lost my pretty mind because a song, it wouldn't leave my lungs. All the words were tangled deep inside my chest, down where fear and doubt come from. Now I'm going down the road singing songs that bring me hope. There's music to be made, and when the winds of freedom fill my lungs, show me to my grave. Every mountain has a peak, and every cloud a sky. Every tree is rooted in the earth, and all I wanna do is climb. Some people wanna stay on the ground and in the shade, but I'm climbing up the branches, moving leaves so I can see the bluest sky. Ooh. Every mountain has a peak, and every cloud a sky. Every tree is rooted in the earth, and all I wanna do is climb. was a time I almost lost my pretty mind.
All right. Yeah, Kimmy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, multitasking. She's awesome. Not only does she sing, but she moves her own mic. Thank you so much, Kinney. All right. She's amazing. Just her voice, her personality, her everything. So, just talk to her at the end. She's amazing. All right, guys. So I have the honor of having Deb Sadler as one of our practitioners here, and she is beyond amazing. She has put together an amazing, wonderful education catalog. And it seems like I'm saying a lot of amazings, but it's because she really is. Last year, she was put up as one of the top 20 teachers in San Diego, one of the top best San Diego teachers. Yeah. In San Diego. And she's here, and she helps here at Seaside, so she's just a joy to be around. And there's always so much to learn from her. So help me give her a warm welcome to Miss Deb Sadler.
Thank you. Last night I was sitting next to our dear cat, and every guy said, "Your hair is so cute" to her, and no one mentioned my hair. So if you see me after service, talk about my hair. Well, just going into that beautiful energy created by that song about mountains and trees and the sky and clouds, knowing that spirit is all that there is, that there's only one power, there's only one presence, and this one creative source is a force for good, and it is everywhere present. There is no place where spirit is not. For this unconditional love circulates throughout all space, all time, all universes, knowing that it is all perfect, that there is joy and ease and grace available throughout all space and time. Knowing that this is a beautiful expression of peace and harmony and the coming together of humanity. And I know that I am one with this beautiful power. I know that I am one with this force for good. I know that I am a download, a divine expression of spirit, individualized. And as this is true for me, this is true for each person within the sound of my voice and beyond, knowing that each of us is that beautiful light, that lovely expression, that creative embodiment of the uniqueness that we bring to this planet, that we bring to Gaia, and that we bring to our communities. And so I know this service is blessed, and that each person is here by divine appointment, and that there is an unlocking of the heart that is taking place as we just open to the beautiful message of the talk tonight, knowing that spirit is everywhere present and we are surrounded by the good that is God.
That was amazing. I could have just stayed there forever. So thank you, Deb, for putting us in that space. It leads so beautifully into going into our intention. So there is a reason why you got in your car and you made your way all the way over here to Seaside, and you're sitting here in these seats. And if you're watching, there's a reason why you charged your iPad or charged your computer to watch this evening. So we're gonna figure out what that is. So together we're gonna go deep and find our intention for this evening. Gently fluttering your eyes open. Welcome back to the room. And here we can share what came up for you. What is your intention for this evening? Joy. Purpose. To release doubt. Peace. De-stress. All right. I'm sorry? Clarity. These are good, guys. And from all the people who spoke out, I think we're going to have an amazing, amazing power up. You make up this power up. And for all the intentions, said and unsaid, together we say, and so it is. Okay, so I'm excited because everyone's like just shouting out. That means we're going to have a great Q&A session, right? Okay, so we have a beautiful speaker. Not only is she just tapped in, turned on, and just in there, like in that consciousness. Like I walked into the room and I was like, Cece is here. I feel it. Like every time she comes, I'm like, she's here. And she walks so quietly. We were looking for her earlier. She like disappeared for like 2 seconds after meditation and just reappeared where I was just looking. She does that, yeah. So I know that she's coming here with a beautiful message. I know that she is here with so much light, as is her purpose. She is a ministerial student, so she will be graduating in June. Yeah.
Yay.
So help me give Cece Foster a warm welcome.
Thank you, Kat. Am I on? Yes, I am. I'm on now. How's everybody doing tonight? It feels good in this room. It's good to be back with Power Up Wednesday at Seaside. And so the theme for this whole month is joy. So this is going to be continued every week. And this was actually a really fun talk for me. They're not always fun. It depends on what you're going through at the time. But for me, this was a really easy one. It flowed. So I'm really grateful to be here. And the name of my talk title is called Living as Joy, Revealing Our Authentic Self. So joy is actually our birthright as emanations of the one Spirit. We know the aspects of God are peace and love and power, harmony, balance, and joy is one of those, as well as light and beauty and several others. But so what that means is truly this is our authentic self, joy. And so in this talk, we're going to kind of explore what is it that limits joy. Because in this teaching, we know that at the center of our being, there is this perfection, that there is a divine idea for each of us. And it is really our job in this human experience to take off the layers of illusion that hide that truth from revealing itself in our life. And before I kind of get going on that, one of the things when I think of joy, I think of laughter. Anybody else think that? So I thought I would try a joke. Anybody here? So let's try a joke. I mean, it feels good to laugh. For those who need to de-stress, laughter is such a wonderful way to do that. So I'm going to tell a story about a painter, a painting contractor. So he gets a contract to do a paint job for a church. Now this church was, struggling and really, really needed this paint job. So he won the bid, and little did the church know that this guy was a little shady, a little unethical. Part of his thing that he did is he watered down the paint, make it stretch a little longer, right? That's funny, right? Okay, so he's there, he's painting the church. And he's almost done. It's a perfect day to paint. It's like 72 degrees. The sun's out, just a couple little clouds in the sky. And all of a sudden, the clouds come down. It gets dark, right? And there's a rainstorm. It comes out of nowhere. And as this rain comes down, the paint gets washed away, right? We're thinking karma. But So then he's like, oh my God. And then as soon as that the rain washed away all the paint, then the clouds parted and the sun came out again. It's like, la. And he's like, what is going on here? And he hears a voice. And the voice says, repaint, repaint, and thin no more. That's a good one, right? So, as the way that the dictionary defines joy, as a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Some of the synonyms is exaltation, rejoicing, happiness, triumph, jubilation, glee, euphoria, bliss, ecstasy. So with that said, is there anybody in the room that would like to have some more joy in their experience? Yeah, it sounds good, right? So sometimes the difference, sometimes happiness and joy are kind of synonymous, but there is a little bit of difference. Happiness oftentimes is really attached to something outside of ourselves, where joy is part of us, right? Joy comes from within, and it's something that we can cultivate and bring forward in our lives, where happiness a lot of times is attached to something outside. Let's say, how many of us would be happy to get a $10,000 scratcher? We'd be like, woo, pretty happy about that. And then what would happen to that happiness if we lost the ticket? There it goes, bye, right? Whereas joy, as we cultivate that, as we start to take off the layers of the belief systems and the habits and the patterns that keep that from showing up more in our lives, when we go there, then this joy can go with us no matter what the circumstances are in our life. And that's pretty much with any aspect of God. And for me, joy is really closely related to love. When we are truly expressing love in our lives, when we are honoring ourselves and loving ourselves and being authentic in our lives, authentic with the people around us, when we are loving and appreciating the people, the things, the creative force that is in our life, and we're communing with that divine presence in whatever way, because there's so many ways that we can commune with God, with spirit. There's the obvious spiritual practices that we do of meditation and prayer, but there's so much more. I feel God when I play with my grandkids, right? Joy bubbles up from that. I feel the presence of the one when I'm out taking a walk in nature and seeing the perfection that is in it, and this perfect balance, this perfect interconnectedness in nature. This is the body of God. So I know that the divine is perfect because I see it in nature. I see it in others most of the time. We all have, and sometimes I see it in myself. And I think that that's where, when we go into really committing and making the choice to develop and cultivate more joy in our lives, so much more than that opens up, because we're really choosing to be open and receptive to the truth of oneness, to the truth that there is a force for good that loves us and that is wanting the highest and best for us. I found a really nice quote by Gabby Bernstein. Everybody know who that is? She's kind of a new up-and-comer. She wrote a book called The Universe Has Your Back. And this is what she says. Joy is our birthright. What blocks our joy is our separation from love. The way back to love begins with understanding how we disconnected in the first place. We all disconnect in our own unique ways. In some way or another, we deny the love of the universe and choose the fear of the world. We choose to hook into the fears on the news, the fears in our classrooms, the fears in our households. We separate from the love of the universe by giving purpose to pain and thinking power comes from outside sources. We deny the power of love and we save our faith for fear. We forget love altogether. So I thought that she put that together pretty nicely in that idea when I was talking about love and joy are connected. I don't think you can really have joy without that. So this quote really points to that simple truth. When we are cultivating our relationship with the divine, we open the door to joy. And when we're caught in the illusion of separation, when fear is running the show and running our life rather than love, joy is hidden. I mean, it's still there, but we just can't see it. It's in our perceptions. We are clouded by fear. So I thought what would be good for this talk is to really just start to look at some of the ways that we limit that joy from coming into our experience. So if anything resonates with us, we can choose to look at it and choose to do whatever we got to do, whether it's, see a practitioner, go take a class, pray about it, whatever we got to do to shift it. So one of the ways that we limit joy from coming into our experience is we make other people and things responsible for our happiness. Anybody ever do that? Anybody married here? Anybody? Okay. And so I know for me in my life, my wife and I have been together almost 20 years now. And definitely early on in our relationship, it was really easy to think, you're all in love and it's like, yeah, you're the source of my joy, my happiness. And, after a few years, you realize that that's not true, right? And so, but if we're stuck there and if we really think that someone is responsible for our happiness, well, we get sadly disappointed, right? Another thing that happens that we do sometimes is we abandon our own needs and desires in an effort to please others and then harbor resentment. Again, many married folk can relate to that. But I think that that's a very common trait for a lot of people. When we give up a part of ourselves, we're really not being authentic then, right? We're really not loving ourselves. So when we give up a part of ourselves, because we think we're going to gain more acceptance or more loyalty or more commitment or more love from a person, and then we get mad. We harbor this inner resentment because truly it's not in harmony with life. That's not how it's meant to be. So if that's happening for you, this is something that you can take a look at and say, this means that I'm just really not honoring myself. Right? And you're really, in my experience, when I have done that, I think we've all had that experience at one time or another. Whenever I've done that, talk about feeling separate from joy when you're walking around with that anger kind of smoldering, that resentment. And it just never works very good. The other thing that can separate us from our joy is when we subscribe to destination happiness. So that's the sense of finding happiness in a new job or a new town or a new relationship. It's like, I'll be happy when I find my soulmate. I'll be happy when I make more than $24,000 a year. I'll be happy when I lose 50 pounds, okay? This is an illusion, again, because anybody had the experience where you thought getting something outside of yourself was going to make you happy, and then you get there, and you might be happy for a minute, but you realize that part of you that was calling out for that deep peace, that deep joy, that deep happiness, it doesn't last in anything outside of ourselves. And another way that we sometimes limit joy is that we neglect to do the things that bring us joy instead of filling our day with shoulds, right? I am definitely guilty of this. You know, when I started, I was actually in a really good place with joy for a while. After I became a practitioner and was starting to step out and do things at my center, it was so joyful. I was so in the flow, and it felt amazing. I was like this, just floating all the time. And oftentimes, like life does, you'll circle back around, you'll go through this spiral, and then something will show up that'll teach you. And the thing that showed up for me was ministerial school. So, I mean, I love what I'm learning, and being in school, running a business, having a relationship, serving my center was a lot. And so I found myself a lot of times, you know, in that headspace of like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, when really all I wanted to do was just be instead of do, right? So that was a struggle, you know, and over the course of about a year or so of really struggling with that and not really feeling any joy about it, I mean, that bothered me. I mean, this is my call. Why am I not enjoying my life? And so it was a process of cutting out some of these things, making different choices for myself. What's important, what's not? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to embrace, right? And this kind of flows into another thing that we sometimes do, and that's overschedule ourselves and refuse to slow down. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes when we're in that place of busy, 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 at the end of the day, it's like, where did the day go? And there's that sense of like exhaustion. And the truth is, many of us get caught up in that. This is a fast-paced time that we live in, right? And oftentimes when we ignore that, when we keep ignoring that and we don't honor what's being called forth in the center of our being, that energetic will manifest as a cold or a little accident or anything to stop you, right? That's our soul knows exactly what we need if we only listen. And so when we ignore that, when we get so busy doing instead of trying to balance our lives, then those kinds of things can happen. And you're forced to slow down. You're forced to take a look at life, and you're forced to park it, right? This one I relate to because I'm kind of in that. This is one of the ways I tried to cope with the first couple of semesters of school, is getting obsessed with technology. Facebook, video games, anybody else here do that, right? And really what that is that's tuning out, right? When in that place of overwhelm, sometimes for me, filling myself with these little mindless things, you know, on Facebook and with video games and television, it's an escape, right? And it's kind of, if you really think about it, it's kind of like an addiction. It feels good. But over time, it makes you real uncomfortable. It makes me real uncomfortable anyway, because I know deep in myself that that's not really serving me. It's not serving my life. It's not bringing me joy. It's simply helping me to tune out from what is, right? So that's another way, is just using our technology to tune out rather than connect and tune in. The other thing that happens for us, that for most of us, I know it happens for me, is we believe our story. Or we believe the story of another. Now, we all have a story, right? We do. Everybody's got a story. Everybody. But when we believe our story, when we believe the story we're telling ourselves, or we believe the story of another, that can block our joy, especially when that story is maybe centered in, you know, victimization or why me or this isn't fair. I mean, think about how many times, especially, we'll bring technology in, when you're texting with someone and you either don't get a response or the response you get wasn't the response you'd hoped for. And then the story you tell yourself, oh, they must be mad at me. Or, well, that was kind of weird. What did I do? You know, and if you believe that story, if you don't catch yourself in the moment realizing that, hey, I'm telling a story, I'm making an assumption here, that's not, I don't know if that's true. It could have been, you know, they could be in their car, they could be doing anything, and I'm assuming in that moment that this story is true. So that's one of the ways that we can limit the good, the joy, the love, the peace from coming into our experience. So this really is about, and this is what I love about this teaching, is that when we commit to the path of awakening, when we begin to take off those layers, these aspects of the divine that are already within us, they begin to emerge a lot more often, a lot more consistently, so that life is no longer this roller coaster. I mean, you're gonna go through stuff, right? But when you begin to have tools like, you know, affirmative prayer and meditation, taking classes was a big one for me. I mean, just opening my eyes to see things differently, because that's what this all is about, right? Our perception is how we see life that really creates our experience. So I came across this quote that I love that really speaks to a joyful life. I was doing some internet searching and I found this obscure, I've never even read this book, but I love the quote. It's from a gal named Shauna Nequest. And it's from a book that she wrote called Cold Tangerines, celebrating the extraordinary nature of everyday life. And she says, I want a life that sizzles and pops and makes me laugh out loud. And I don't want to get to the end or to a tomorrow even and realize that my life is a collection of meetings and pop cans and errands and receipts and dirty dishes. I want to eat cold tangerines and sing out loud in the car with the windows open and wear pink shoes and stay up all night laughing and paint my walls the exact color of the sky right now. I want to sleep hard on clean white sheets and throw parties and eat ripe tomatoes and read books so good they make me jump up and down. And I want my everyday to make God belly laugh, glad that he gave life to someone who loves the gift. That last line is what really caught me. It's like, are we loving the gift? If we see life as a gift, if we're really pausing in this busy world of ours, in our busy lives, and really appreciating it, and purposely jumping in and remembering that what it's like to play, what it's like to be free and joyful like kids are, you know? So I love that quote, and it really, for me, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I want some more of that. Not that that's going to be me, but more of that. Because I love that idea of making God belly laugh. So let's begin here, just by loving the gift and pausing in our lives that are so full of doing, and be thankful and be present with the presence. However that shows up for us, whatever way speaks to you, whether that's meditation or prayer or walking on the beach or playing with your dog, to choose it. Our teaching is all about choice and being responsible for our lives. And that doesn't mean blaming ourselves for what's wrong. That means choosing something else. So I choose joy, and I hope you do too. Namaste.
All right, so that was Cece. Didn't I tell you? She was like turned in, tapped on, that whole shabam. Right, I told you. So this is the space I'm going to give to you to kind of let that marinate, let that cook, and we have the honor of asking her questions. So what came up for you? What stood out to you? The moment that you leave these doors, what is the one thing that you're going to take away from this evening? All right? And now, help me give a warm welcome to Miss Kinney Dye.
You got me. I was too busy back there thinking about all the stories I tell myself. I'm like, ooh, it's a good thing I journal. I can go back and read the truth, huh? All I need is sunshine in the morning, a cup of coffee, yeah, make it black. And all I want are miles to go walking. Keep it simple, my mind's on track, and I'll just be rolling down the road. Follow my heart, see where it goes. I've always been one to find my way, no matter where the stones may lay. I'll forge a path all before midday, because there isn't much I need. An open space, a gentle breeze, somewhere I can find me a good old song to sing. No, there isn't much I need. Lately life's been looking like a puzzle, and all my pieces, they're scattered round. One by one, I'll put them back together, piece by piece, yeah, I'll lay them down. I've never been one to wait in line, I jump right in, and it's just fine. Now something's telling me, take your time, because there isn't much you need. An open space, a gentle breeze, somewhere you can find you a good old song to sing. No, there isn't much you need. The sunshine's there to light our day. The moon and the stars, they guide our way at night. Trees create the air we breathe, and the rain gives us what we need to thrive. 'Cause there isn't much we need. An open space, a gentle breeze, somewhere we can find us a good old song to sing. No, there isn't much we need, and there isn't much I need. An open space, a gentle breeze, somewhere I can find me a good old song to sing. No, there isn't much I need. No, there isn't much I need. No, there isn't much that I need.
All right. Are you feeling powered up? You fell asleep. Are you feeling powered up? All right. So one person is. So, like I mentioned, this is the space, this is the time where we get to ask Cece any questions that came up for us. So, don't raise your hand all at once, because I am one person. Also, keep in mind that a question that you have, someone else might have, and you are the brave person to ask it. So I'm coming down with the mic. waiting for someone to raise their hand because I have like 50 questions. But Cece, we're going to have a talk later.
I liked what you said at the beginning of your talk about, if you could talk a little more about that. I think I'm saying this right, that happiness is a function externally and joy comes from within, that you made that kind of distinction. Could you talk a little more about that? Because that really rings very true for me when you started with that.
Yeah, it really is. In my experience, my most joyful times, and this is that feeling. It's like trying to describe love, right? It's like, how do you describe something that is a feeling, right? But for me, joy is when I really am feeling connected with life. When I'm engaged in life, when I feel connected to God, when my practice is really in a good place, because it waxes and wanes, right? Sometimes they're better than others. And when I allow myself to slip away from that, and then I find myself that joy, because like I said, we use joy and happiness kind of the same, but really that's where it starts to get more complicated, where I'm more at effect than I am causing things. When I'm in that place, everything flows, right? So that's the difference, It's like things make me happy. Like when I got my new Kia Soul, that made me happy. It makes me happy to look at it. But if that were to leave my life, would that ruin my joy? No. So did that?
No, I do get that.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when you get your first scratch in the car?
Yeah, it's like, oh man, that's a bummer. That happened recently because that thing has gone scratchless, I might add. There's no dings on the door. But I did see one earlier and I'm like, oh man. But it didn't ruin, it didn't, when you're in that place, like I said, it's so hard to describe the feeling of it. But I think, it's like, where do you feel joy?
Here. When I come to this place.
Good. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
And so what is it about coming to this place that you think brings you that joy?
There's an expectation that I've developed when I come here that I'm going to be with, there'll be a lot of love in this space, that it's a place where people come to that at least have had a sense of their higher self, that they know there's that possibility of living in it from a different place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And when I think of that, because I know what you're talking about, because I have the same thing when I am in this kind of a space with people, and is love and connecting.
Yeah.
The connection with life, because this is another way that we commune with the divine presence.
Yeah.
Because you're God. You're God. We're all God, right? And so when we're communing and loving each other and seeing each other rather than judging, right?
Yeah.
We're really seeing, and then this fills us up and this brings joy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good place to it's a good place to be reminded about who we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
James brings me joy. He tried to bring me pizza the other day, and that was awesome.
Pizza's good. Pizza makes you happy.
It does.
Let me just make that distinction there. Pizza's happy.
If you guys were here last week we had Kim Jera here, and Kim Jera was talking about what's in your sack of joy, right? And on the way over here, I was thinking about it, like what makes me happy? And I was like, change makes me happy. So I got a haircut, right? And then what happens when it starts growing back? But then I was thinking about it, like, and what you said and what James brought up was that happiness is in those things. I find happiness when something changes. Like, I forgot what I was doing in my office. James comes in and he opens the door. I had it closed specifically for a reason. But James walks in and I'm just like, okay, I have so much work to do. He walks in and he was like, Kat, you said that we were gonna do X, Y, and Z for Sunday. And I was like, you're right. I did say that. So we walk out, and in that time, I think we spent maybe 3 minutes together, 2 minutes editing and cutting a video, and then that's it, it was done. And in that time, he was like, you look so much happier now. And I was like, I am. I'm really happy. Like, I'm so happy that you changed my environment, because I literally closed my door and I was in there for like 4 hours straight. I didn't even know that I was frowning. I didn't even know that I was like upset. Apparently I was, because my face said it. And James walked in and he changed my scenery. And that's all I needed. That's all I needed to remember what that joy felt like. So again, with what Cece has brought up today and what Kim Jera brought up last week, where is your joy? That's what I want to hear.
Well, here, I would like to say something.
I would love for you to say something.
It just makes me think about how, as a culture, we don't even really think that much about joy. We just think about happiness.
Yep.
And I do know that we experience joy when we get together with our families and our clan, and we you know, our authentic selves, and we get exuberant, and we giggle, and we laugh, and we think it's so wonderful, and we kind of look at it as a rarity. I think in our culture, and I think we really, as science of mind folks and people of aware of our consciousness, need to bring that awareness into other people's lives, that joy is a good thing. I'm going to share that whenever I was particularly joyful, my mother thought I was stoned. You must be high. So that was, you know, the mindset I grew up in, that you're just being too silly. You know, that can't be real.
You got to be high. You're laughing so much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
So we had a little disconnect there.
Yeah.
But I do think that we, in this new thought movement, need to share the awareness. Oh, look how joyful we're feeling. Just that alone, I think, would help.
Yeah.
And does anyone have a question? Because I have one. I'm going to ask my question. I'm going to take up time, guys. All right? Okay. So you mentioned something about affirmative prayer. What's the difference between affirmative prayer and regular prayer?
Well, in our teaching, we call it spiritual mind treatment, which is a 5-step affirmative prayer. But when we think about, this is the best way I can think to describe it. You know, when Jesus prayed, he prayed, you know, our Father who art in heaven, you know, hallowed be thy name. He declared it, right? That's in the affirmative, like it is. It's happening. It's now. It is. That's being in the affirmative side of things, rather than a lot of us, if you've had the experience in, you know, in your early years with the Christian faith, or, you know, in a lot of other faiths, it's more of like, dear God, dear man in the sky, please, you know, I promise to never do that again. If you just give me this, right? Anybody make bargains with God early? Yeah, so an affirmative prayer is really standing in that power and knowing that you're a piece of God and claiming it. Our word is a creative force, and claiming it in that I know that I am whole. I know that I'm beautiful and peaceful, and this life is full of grace and joy, whatever that is for you. Does that explain it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And with that, I think we're in a perfect space to welcome Ms. Cece Foster for her call to action.
So I think the call to action, I'm going to actually anchor this in prayer, but I think the call to action, there's this something that's been kind of turned up in us tonight. I know for me, as I wrote the talk, it was like really knowing that I have a choice every day. So my challenge, this will be a fun little challenge for anybody here who's addicted to their iPhone or television or whatever other device that we use to disconnect from life. My challenge is every day, the time for 1 hour. I'm not talking give it up, we're not talking that, but for 1 hour, to consciously turn off that and do some tuning in. Do something that you know brings you joy, or simply sit with yourself. What does that look like? What would I love to be expressing in my life? What would bring me joy? And I think if we really intentionally choose to tune off that disconnect that we have and tune in to ourselves or to life or to another, I think we're going to start feeling that shift and opening the door for more joy to come into our experience. So that's the challenge this week, to turn off and tune in. So with that, let's center this in prayer. I'll ask you, anybody, just to bring whatever wants to be shifted in life, whether it's more joy, wholeness, peace, whatever, and hold this in consciousness for a moment. And so I know that there is one life, one spirit, one supreme intelligence that has breathed all things into being, that is the eternal lover, sustainer, and giver of all that is. This intelligence that I call God is the grand designer of all life. It is perfect. It is perfect harmony. It is perfect peace. It is perfect love. It is beauty. And I know that I am that I am made in the image and the likeness of the One. That all that God is within me. And I know that this is the truth for everyone here that is in the sound of my voice. I know it's the truth for all, that we are all emanations of this perfect power, this perfect force for good. And so what I know for each and every one of us, as we commune with this presence that lives within us, as we knock, I know that it is opened. As we seek, we find. I know that we are limitless. I know that we are God individualized and that we are here to be a gift to the world. So I know right here, right now, for each and every one, that there is peace. There is peace of mind. I know that there is love, expressing more fully from within and spilling out into the world. I know here and now that there is an abundance of good that is flowing on each of us. And I know here and now that each of us in our own unique way opens to accept it. As we dance with the divine, I know that we are blessed, that we are made whole, that we are lifted up into the greatest expression we were meant to be. And so I know joy, I know laughter, I know purpose and passion ignited here and now in this moment. And I know that each of us has been blessed by this time together, this awakening that is happening right here and now for all. And so I simply bless this time. I bless everyone here knowing that God is walking with all of us. And that love conquers all. And so it is with a grateful heart. I speak it into being and know that it is done as it is spoken. And so I release it into that law that says yes. And I just allow it to be. And so it is. Amen.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to invite our ushers to come forth. This is a time in our service where we give thanks to the center for giving us the space and this time where we know and understand the law of circulation. It's not about how much you give, it's how you give it. So all together, if you could please bring your gifts to your heart, and we will repeat. This gift I give is God in action. I give it in joy, I give it in love, I give it in gratitude for all the good in my life, and so it is.
This gift I give is God in action. I give it in joy. I give it in love. I give it in gratitude for all the good in my life, and so it is.
Thank you, Jim. It's like Jim knew I was thirsty. I really wanted water, but it was all the way over there. Before we move on, I just want to have Cece do a quick blessing.
So I'm grateful for this gift of the heart that has been given here, knowing that what is given, we receive. I know that these gifts of the heart absolutely go forth in this community, creating more and more good, that it is just fishes and loaves. That as we give, we receive, and that each of us is blessed by this act of giving. And so it is.
So it is. Okay, I'm gonna invite Deb Sadler back on stage to do a full spiritual mind treatment. And you might be asking, why are we praying so much? It's because it's part of my homework. No, it really is, but that's not why we're doing it. We just really know and understand that there's a shift that happens during these spiritual mind treatments. I felt it. I know that you guys have felt it. So thank you, Deb, for being here.
Thank you. Well, just going into that beautiful energy created by the awareness, the consciousness of joy that is God expressing the infinite, eternal, loving energy, that creative force that wells up within inside of humanity and it expresses itself individualized. And I know I am a part of that humanity that is individualized. I know that I'm a unique expression of spirit. I know that the one mind moves through me in perfect harmony and happiness and joy. And as this is true for me, this is true for each person within the sound of my voice and beyond, that each person is that beautiful expression of light, of love, of joy, and ease and grace, and that this is the spiritual truth for all life. And so I am so grateful for this beautiful time together, for this opportunity to listen, to open our minds, our hearts, to bring awareness to our perception that we are the source of our joy, and we are the awareness of joy and the expression of joy and the reminder that joy is life. And so I'm so grateful for the participants here, the congregants, and for Cece and her talk, and for Kat and her expression and her enthusiasm, and for Jim and Kinney. And I just know that as each person goes out into their week, that each one of us is blessed and that we see the joy all around us. We even see it on the TV. And so I release my word into the activity of the law, knowing that we are all joy expressing, and that is what is the outer expression of our week. And together we are going to say, and so it is.
And that is Deb Sadler, guys. That is our the education department head. She does all of that for us. Wow. Yeah, she does. So, time of gratitude. Is that Gregory? Thank you, Gregory, for being here. If you didn't know, Gregory is actually behind the camera, and because of him, you can watch us from home. So, thank you, Gregory. Let's give him a warm. We also have Tim, and if it weren't for Tim, this wouldn't be happening at all. Thank you very much, Tim. We have Ed Reeves, who's on sound, so thank you, Ed. We have Ed Cox, who's actually holding the light, holding the space for us, so he has been over there in his space holding the light for us. And of course, thank you, Jim Bianchi, for all your noodling. He actually plays real songs. And we have Kinney Dye with your beautiful voice, your beautiful self, your beautiful expression. Thank you, Kinney, for being here. Woo! Deb Sadler, thank you so much for saying yes and being part of this Wednesday night team. Cece for driving all the way from Temecula, bringing such a beautiful and wonderful and inspirational message. Thank you for being here and saying yes. And of course, thank you. Each and every one of you have changed, transformed, and lifted the consciousness of this evening. So if it weren't for you, it wouldn't feel the way that it feels right now. So thank you for coming. Okay, so, I said thank you to you guys, right? Yes, I did. And I just have to go over it in my head. And for our last song, we have Kinney Die. So we're all going to stand up because we're going to, have fun, enjoy. After this, we're actually going to be in the family room. There are cookies, and they're the good ones. We have cookies, and we have tea. Have a conversation with us. We have practitioners here. We're cool people, so stick around and have a conversation.
We're cool people. Did you know that? We're cool.
I will be joy.
I will be peace.
I will be peace.
I will be love.
I will be love.
Everything I need,
Everything I need, I have within me. Everything I need, I have within me. I will be joy.
I will be love.
I will be love. Everything I need, I have within me. Everything I need, I have within me. One more time.
I will be joy. I will be peace. I will be peace. I will be love.
Everything I need, I have within me. Everything I need, I have within me. One more time.
Everything I need, I have within me. All right, thank you, Kim. Beautiful. Yeah.
Hey, hello, hey, thank you so much for being here. That is it. That is the end of our evening. So meet us in the family room for cookies and tea. Oh, have a good night.